I think it ends by ending the reason for the civil war. And the reason for the civil war is Bashar al-Assad and his regime. This is a leader that has killed his own people, caused 12 million of his people to be displaced, and is continuously bombing and killing indiscriminately. As a result, we have Daesh in Syria. There's areas that are uncontrolled and ungoverned, and again, this is a void that will be filled by whoever has the power and the capability to fill that. I don't believe that a military solution is necessarily going to be the answer here. At the end, people have to sit down and talk. People have to come to agreement. The common misconception is that Saudi Arabia has all of a sudden decided to flex its muscles and become a dominant power, and that is I don't think that's the case. Saudi Arabia has to fill in a gap that has been created in the area, a lack of leadership, and Saudi Arabia is the best suited country for that. It is the center of the Islamic world. It is a dominant GCC country. It is also a leader in the financial world and in the as an economic powerhouse in the region and in the world, from its obviously its vast assets as well as its oil capabilities. I think that is a big misconception by the West, that they think that it's just decided to flex its muscles, and it's not that. It's that because there is a vacuum, and if you leave that vacuum, it will be occupied by something you might not like. So Saudi Arabia is morally, I think, obligated to fill that void. Obviously, from the security point of view, Saudi Arabia's security forces internally have been fighting Daesh and exposing terrorist cells, foiling a lot of their plans. But I think where Saudi Arabia has become more and more proficient and is really working hard is in actually fighting the source or the ideals of Daesh, because at the end they're terrorist organizations that use religion to further their political agendas. The kingdom has just called for a counter-terrorism coalition that is going to be up and running pretty soon in Saudi Arabia, where various countries, Islamic countries, are going to get together and disseminate information and analyze and contribute to the war against terrorism around the world. Saudi Arabia has also contributed in the King Abdullah Center for Dialogue, as well as the Terrorism Center in the UN. It's funded by Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia has had a lot of work internationally and domestically in combating terrorism. There is no governance. There is chaos, and where there is chaos, there is violence. And that's unfortunately what we see. So I don't think a lot of those countries are better off today than where they were 5 years ago. But then again, they were in a situation that I cannot assess. I mean, they were obviously in a situation where it led them to do this, and I cannot put myself in their position. But if you compare between then and now, I don't think they're better off. Some might be in some countries, but the majority are not. I think Saudi Arabia has had a leading role and a very successful track record in fighting a war that is a very complicated and kind of sticky subject, and that is fighting extremism in our country. So that, I think, is one of Saudi Arabia's main priorities, is fighting the extremist mentality and securing Saudi citizens within their borders, that they may live a peaceful life. That, of course, requires Saudi Arabia to do things in order to maintain that level of security and prosperity for the Saudi people. It requires Saudi Arabia to maintain a stable economic environment. It requires Saudi Arabia to maintain the freedoms while still securing the safety of its people. It requires Saudi Arabia to develop its security and military capability. It requires Saudi Arabia to develop infrastructure and human development in the country. So I think Saudi Arabia has always had its citizens' well-being as a priority. Unfortunately, today, there are many threats that threaten Saudi Arabia.